Let's talk about the importance of temperature when steaming alternative milks, all the way from the fridge to your final cup. Now, although it's generally safe to keep alternative milks unrefrigerated when they're not opened, when it comes to the steaming process, you want to have your milk cold. Now, alternative milks heat up way quicker than dairy milk, so when you're texturing them, you want to be able to texture for as long as possible to make sure that your alternative milk is silky and smooth. When you start with room temperature milk, you don't have as much time to texture and you're not going to end up with a great end product. So make sure you keep all of your alternative milk stocked up in the refrigerator. When it comes to the actual temperature of milk, the golden zone for dairy is around 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. But what about alternative milks? Should they be at a different temperature? Now, MILKLAB's range generally performs really well in higher heats, but for milk in general, you don't want to be going over 70 degrees Celsius. Once you go past 70 degrees, the flavor's going to deteriorate, the texture's going to go downhill, and that's because of the way that the proteins and sugars react with higher temperatures. But let's do some tests to see how these milks all react at different temperatures to see which is the optimal one. We steamed oat milk, almond milk, and soy milk all to 55, 60, and 65 degrees to test the taste and the latte art. Starting off with oat milk, we found that this milk worked really well at all temperatures, but at 60 degrees, it really stood out to us. The sweetness from the oats really came through and it had an amazing mouthfeel. What we really found impressive is that this milk could actually be steamed up to 65 degrees and still perform really well. Next up, we have almond milk. We found it worked best between 55 to 60 degrees, with 60 degrees really being the sweet spot. At 60 degrees, it really harmonized with the coffee and the latte art held its shape. Once we went past 65 degrees though, we found that it tasted a little thin and it didn't mix with the coffee quite as well. Next up, we have soy milk. Soy milk worked better at the lower temperatures between 55 to 60 degrees, with 55 being optimal. It was glossier and mixed with the coffee beautifully. And it had that distinctive nutty flavor that only soy can bring that works so well with a dark, rich, chocolatey espresso. Once we went above 60 degrees Celsius though, it started to lose a little bit of texture and got a little bit bubbly, so I would try to stay between 55 to 60 when steaming soy milk. Finally, you need to keep your cups stocked on top of your machine to keep them warm. If you start with cold cups, it's going to drastically pull away the heat from your coffee as you pour. In a cafe situation especially, you want to give your coffee the best chance at arriving at the table at the right temperature. So keep your cartons cold and your cups hot and serve up the best tasting alternative milks in any type of coffee. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more alternative milk tips and tricks, and check out our full series of barista basics that we're doing with MILKLAB. Coffee up.